Oh yeah, Sanji and Zoro were totally gay.
All right. Hello and welcome back to Banana World. My name is Liam, and with me forming the banana peel is Manu and the slimy yet satisfying center of Sophie. How are we both on this fine day?
Slimy.
Did you say slimy center?
Slimy yet satisfying center.
Slimy yet satisfying. I'll take it. I'll take that.
It is a Lion King reference.
It's just starting. Is it? Is it though? It's not a Pornhub reference. It's a Lion King reference.
It is a film reference.
What sort of film?
A film.
I'm quite disappointed in myself that I didn't catch that. I watch Lion King almost once a year.
It's literally Hakuna Matata.
Yeah, I can't believe I missed it.
Hakuna Matata includes slimy center.
Maybe. Would you have watched it in German?
Probably. Do you want to start this podcast with a banger?
No. Let's start it with absolute garbage.
well
Let's start it with the banger. Holy crap.
I'm not a big Disney fan.
This was Manu's last episode on the podcast. We will have applications open for the third banana. All right. Defend yourself.
Yes,
Right.
please explain.
I mean, obviously, it's not collectively. Like, there's movies I enjoyed, but I'm not a big fan of musicals either. To like, now that we're like in the zone already, I don't know. As a kid, whenever I watched a Disney movie, I was like, please just stop singing and get back to like the story. Why are you singing? It's like, you're sad. Behave like a normal human being. Don't sing about it.
To be fair, Disney movies, they only have like 4 or 5 songs. The vast majority of them is not singing. It's not
Right.
like an opera. Unless you're seeing Fantasia. But then there's no singing. It's just music.
Is this Lion King as well? Like, you didn't enjoy the songs in Lion King?
No, I think I enjoyed the movie a little bit. Like, for example, like with Disney, it's for me, like, it's not something that I have to rewatch all the time. Like, I think I saw at least like the famous one as a kid, definitely, and like some of them a little bit later. I did see Frozen, great movie. But it like I'm not that like, or like for example here in Japan we have 2 Disneylands. There's Disney World and Disney Sea, and it's a really big thing. Like especially girls in Japan
Yeah,
love it.
Tokyo
It's like a big
Disneyland,
date thing.
massive.
Yes, and like even as a group. So I've been there twice now, and it's fun because like at least in one of them you can drink alcohol, and that makes it way more tolerable. But yeah, I don't know. I just never really connected to that entire world. And one aspect that like, or one complaint I have with it that I only had a little bit later in life is that Disney really hardcore propagandizes the idea that you're not complete if you don't have like the love of your life next to you. It's kind of like every princess needs a prince kind of. And I feel like I think it's a bit of a toxic thing to like. I mean, but that's not just Disney. It's I feel like in general like modern media. Or it's like in every sitcom you have like
Bye,
that
Sophie.
one walking out.
Jesus.
Just left.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's controversial, Manu.
It
I
is.
agree
But,
with
like,
you.
my
I think
personal-
that Disney has gotten better in terms of that, like every princess needs a prince thing specifically. Like, but it has been a very slow move. And none of the classic. But what are you doing?
I don't think she hears us. We're just gonna comment on her until
Yeah,
she's like,
we're
that's
just
gonna
gonna
be
keep
part of the
commenting.
podcast for sure.
All right, Sophie, explain what that was all
All right.
about.
What happened? Did you walk out in protest? Nope. Oh no.
Still protesting.
It is still protesting. Protest?
Not only does Sophie refuse to
Nope.
speak, she refused to hear.
How self-centered can you be?
Can you just like wave if you can hear us?
I'm sorry.
Hi, Sophie.
My earphones just
Well, we
stopped
can't
working.
hear you.
We definitely
No.
cannot hear you.
Okay, my earphones stopped
Oh, there we go.
working. I think
we
it
go.
just got really upset about the fact that Manu doesn't like Disney and
Yeah,
decided
I
to
thought
like.
you just
it
walked
was
out in
like
protest.
That's what we assumed.
it was like no, I refuse to be on a podcast with someone who dislikes Disney, and it stopped working on me. So
Like your earpods stopped working
Yeah.
out of protest right
exactly,
away.
it was like
I
there's
mean, when
no
I tell
defense.
Liam, it's kind of like
They were like, "There's no defense
it's-
worth listening to."
my defense was that in Disney movies, you always have this idea that like every princess needs a prince, and like while I think it's like if you have found the person you're supposed to be with and you have found like someone that really makes you happy, like I think that's great. But I think there's like also like other ways that you can like have a fulfilling life with like a great hobby or a great job or like I don't know, pet. I feel like every like you kind of from all sides of media you get bombarded with this idea that you do need like to find true love, and like in every sitcom there's like this one dude
Yeah.
who hasn't found true love yet, and he's like, I don't need love. And at the end of the, like, after 8 seasons, like 3 seasons too long, and after 8 seasons, he's like, oh no, actually, even that guy did find true love in the end. And I'm kind of like, nothing against love, because it's, again, if you find the right person, that's great.
Manu attacking
a
love.
lot
Manu
now.
hates love.
I hate Disney.
The
I hate
anti-love. Welcome to the anti-love podcast.
How is your
But
girlfriend, by the way?
I do think it's a problem. She's doing great. No, but you probably also know, like, you either have been in relationships that are clearly or have been clearly not working out, and you probably also know people who are stuck in relationships where everyone, maybe even the people themselves, kind of know that they're really not meant for each other, but it's so scary breaking up and so scary not being with someone that I'd rather risk being with the wrong person and waste each other's life.
Part of that is that change is also scary. Like if you've been with someone for 6 months to a year, that's your new life now. That's a big scary change to just sort of let that go.
It's like all your friends become the same friends, like your family. It's becomes quite like complicated, I suppose.
A little trick on that, just don't have friends, then you can't lose them.
Oh, I've been following that pro tip for years.
We hate Disney, we hate love, we hate friends.
Hate friends. What do we like? Nothing.
Bananas.
We only like bananas.
I don't even like
but-
And
bananas.
only if they're blue.
I have been in that situation though before. Like I think one of my first relationships was definitely like I think both of us knew after a year roughly that it was really not meant to be, and we just kept going for another half year just because that's what we were being used to, and it was just too easy not to break up.
It was comfortable.
Yeah, and you kind of like slip into that phase where you just kind of like hope you get some excuse from the other person to break up with them. Give me something. So yeah, ever since I experienced that, I've kind of been like on that route where I'm like, being single is fine, and then if you find someone that actually makes you happy and you actually feel fulfilled with, great, but don't waste your life with the wrong person.
Yeah, fuck Disney, am I right?
Fuck this. Thank you. Thanks for boiling that down for me.
It's hard to disagree with that. Like with that point, I think that's a very fair point. I think it's just the child in me that grew up watching Disney because so my family migrated to Australia and both my parents worked. And so I've got 2 sisters, by the way, and that's it. It's just 3 girls at home. And all we did at home whilst my parents went to work was watch Disney, like the same Disney movie over and over again. And the like extent to which I think Manu's now protesting me and he's decided to walk away.
I was thinking that sounds like torture to me. It's like, if you want to crack my deepest, darkest secrets, threaten me with watching the same Disney movie over and
But
over.
we loved it. We loved it. Like, just watched it
Let
just
it go.
over and over. Like, maybe recycled 3 movies. Probably, I think it was like Lilo and Stitch, Lion King, and Pocahontas, maybe, just on repeat in a cycle. And the extent to which we were obsessed with Disney movies was that we all assigned a Disney prince, like a few Disney princesses to each other. And so that was your Disney princess. So, for example, Cinderella was my Disney princess, and Sleeping Beauty, Rapunzel. Oh, I don't think it wasn't Rapunzel at that point. It was Aurora. So Aurora were my Disney princesses.
You got some low tier princesses.
I know. It was because one of them sleeps for 100 years and does nothing. And my sisters would tease me that I must have smelly breath because I haven't been able to brush my teeth
that's terrible.
for 100 years. And my older sister took the best Disney princesses and wouldn't let us sing her songs. We would not be allowed to sing like Jasmine, for
Like
example.
Disney
or
capitalism
Belle.
is this?
Wow. I feel like we're going into therapy mode here right now. It's like, my bigger sister never allowed me to sing my favorite
The
Disney song.
craziest thing is my younger sister and I would dob on each other if we heard the other one sing one of her songs. I mean, that is
Please
sister
stage.
dynamic for you.
This is a proper like Disney dictatorship.
It is.
And this is why we hate Disney, because it creates childhood trauma.
This is why being an only child is the amazing way to go. As an only child, I had all of the Disney to myself.
Just Monopoly.
I didn't even want to sing the songs, but if I could, I could.
You could have.
I would. But I agree with Sophie's sort of analysis / deep dark issues.
I feel like I really opened up there, guys. I'm gonna need a break.
Yeah. Disney was so just ingrained into my childhood. Like the very first film I ever saw at a cinema was Aladdin. And after that, I just got videos like Little Mermaid, Lion King, and it just became a thing.
I can see that. By the way, I think Lilo and Stitch is kind of like a bit of an odd one out there. I really enjoyed that one, but mainly because I think it was way ahead of its time in terms of like being quirky and experimental, which I thought was really cool.
I mean, I'd say that my favorite ones probably aren't the more like typical ones either. I really liked Hercules when I was younger.
Hercules is so good.
Like Hunchback of Notre Dame.
In case you're interested now you know Sophie's type of guy.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Either Hercules or the Hunchback.
No. Hercules.
Really buff dude with a hunchback.
It's like, yeah. So
Yeah,
good.
I lift, but I also hunch.
It's like the dude who like only does chest every day. No back.
You keep skipping back day, man.
Okay, let me ask you guys a follow-up question then, because so for me as someone who doesn't like Disney, it was very enjoyable watching the remakes, the real the live-action remakes, because they were even more dreadful, and I was like, haha. But for someone who really likes Disney, how did you think about this recent wave of trying to take the old Disney movies and trying to, in a politically correct way, reinvent them on stage?
Oh, on stage or in film?
No, sorry.
Because they're
On the
two
screen,
different things.
yes.
Like on stage, they've had quite
You're
a few
correct, of
successes,
course.
and they've also had quite a few bombs. You know, Lion King, fantastic stage show. Aladdin, pretty garbage. On screen, though,
No, I meant the movies. yeah.
I kind of despise them, to be honest. I haven't seen most of them because I never hear about them getting good reviews. I did see The Lion King. It was uncomfortable, is the way I would describe it.
It was beautiful to look at, I think. Like the cinematography, I think I'd give props to that. I thought it was beautiful. I got really upset because they took out a key scene, which I thought was a pivotal moment from the film, where Simba's looking up to the sky and getting really upset. Like, you said you were gonna be there for me. You lied. Like, I thought that was a really important growth point for Simba, and they took that out of the movie, and that upset me.
There are certain films that Disney have made that I think are just as perfect as they will ever get, and there is nothing you can do to them that will make them better, so just don't touch them.
I feel like a lot of the premises are really weird. Like, for example, with Maleficent.
Maleficent. Malnutrition.
I can see literally the people brainstorming and one of the guys going, but what if the bad witch actually has mental illness and is really lonely,
Yeah.
and she's actually the victim?
You can blame Wicked.
That's
And
what I was
I'm
gonna
like-
say,
That
because
started
Wicked
that
was
whole trend,
so
yeah.
successful.
What if
guess
the
so.
Wicked Witch
But I
was
was like,
good?
I feel like it kind of contradicts the point of the or the moral of the original.
It completely recontextualizes them, yeah.
There's a fantastic, and I forgot her name. There's a fantastic movie review YouTuber, her. And she ripped The Beauty and the Beast apart. It was really funny. I have to look it up.
You seem to be taking quite a bit of pleasure in this Disney destruction.
I do. I do.
It's like, finally, after 20 years, my time has come.
I mean, I don't hate Disney. It's just like I don't like it. I don't have that sense of nostalgia connected to it, I guess.
What do you think about like a lot of the new
enough.
ones that aren't so heavily premised on love and, you know, like romantic love anyways? I mean, I just watched Encanto, for example, very recently, and I quite enjoyed that one.
Haven't
seen
seen it
it
yet. That was probably a bad question to ask. And probably people who like Disney hate me, and like the few people who like Pixar and were like, yeah, you're right, fuck Disney. Like now those people are also like, well, fuck you
Man,
too. So
the
now-
people who like love also hate you, so you're pretty
a lot
screwed.
of people. I think you made a video on this recently about branding Liam. So at least like now we have the.
Oh yeah, no, you've solidified the non-believers. It's the 6 other aspects of primal branding
yeah.
that you need to work on. now.
Exactly. I think the first time Liam and I talked, Sophie, we established by accident that we're actually both marketing students.
Oh,
former
right.
Marketing students. So if you want to have success on YouTube, apparently marketing is the way to go. Though I was convinced. I think my parents were like, so you did get me again. You did study business engineering, and now you're doing YouTube. And I was like,
Sorry.
maybe there is a connection. Turns out there is a connection.
I think it is helpful because it gives you just like a little foot into the door of the minds of people who are going to click your videos rather than struggling through for a couple of years longer than you may need to.
But law is maybe also helpful.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I mean, I studied law and I actually chose copyright as one of my units
Really?
last year. And The comment that I got was in my final exam was I kept using the American term of fair use instead of fair dealing
it's different
because
in
my
Australia.
mind is just so only focused on YouTube that I wasn't paying
like-
attention to what it's called in Australia.
Sophie just like going through her law book. Yo, I'm so fucked. We're all so fucked.
You know all the laws, you just don't know what they're called.
I do have a good transition to one of the topics I wanted to talk about today.
Can I just butt in there? When you have a good transition, you just do it. Don't say that you've got a good
Don't
transition
mention it.
because it becomes
Don't
a
say
bad
it.
transition then.
We'll just have it, we'll have
does.
it on screen. We'll go, good transition.
Well, now
and then
now
we'll move
our
on to the
entire
next
topic is the transition, so...
It's a transition made out of the words good transition, and they just come across the screen and a new topic happens.
That's the sort of thing I would do. I love that idea.
Have someone come in, take down the backdrop, have a new backdrop come in.
I actually really like your first idea of just like the block letters transition
Yeah, good transition.
going across the
Good
screen.
transition.
And then all of a sudden you're on another topic. It's
Topic.
fantastic. You laugh, but you're a genius.
Sometimes we'll go bad transition.
Yeah.
I mean, often
we
these
could have
things
so
are
many
very
different
close
kinds
together.
of transitions. Awkward transition.
Okay,
Spectacular transition.
okay
Yeah,
transition.
which is just like a slower version of it, which is kind of clunky.
a rough transition.
Sudden transition.
The music.
Anyways,
dun, dun.
since we were talking about Disney, actually one of the topics I wanted to talk about today was Ghibli. Because I think
also
the only
hate
Ghibli
Ghibli?
movie I saw...
Yep.
No, I love Ghibli, but I only actually saw most of them last year for the first time.
Really?
Because I did have a little bit of a trauma, I think when I was like 5 or 6 years old.
Where did the Ghibli touch you?
So I was at my grandparents' house, and my grandparents are like they had a cool house in retrospect, but as a kid it was like very like old school, kind of like a lot of like antiques and stuff like that, very dark, like thick curtains. And so my grandparents were just like smoking and watching TV, and I was watching TV in like their bedroom. So I was just lying on the floor. It was really dark, and my grandma just put on Spirited Away.
Huh?
Yes.
How old are you?
And me as a 6-year-old,
Yeah,
5 or 6, yeah.
that could get quite terrifying, yeah.
Yeah.
I was traumatized by Ghibli, I think, for like the longest time, especially with like the no face and everything like that, and like, you know, the mouth opening up. So that was like very vivid in my childhood memory. And so only last year did I actually come around and was like, no, okay, I do want to give like all the Ghiblis a shot again, and I really, really enjoyed them. Did you guys watch them as kids, or?
Not as a kid, because they weren't really a thing when I was a kid. They more started trickling out when I was a teenager. But yeah, absolutely. Like, I'm pretty sure Howl's Moving Castle was the first Ghibli film I saw. Loved it. Immediately checked out some other ones. Some I loved, some depressed the crap out of me, like Grave of the Fireflies. I wasn't quite prepared going into that when I was a teenager.
They're all surprisingly dark, I
Yeah,
feel, or like at
very.
least have a very dark undertone.
Yeah, or like dark subtleties. Like you said in Spirited Away, I'm pretty sure that it takes place, in like a metaphorical brothel, like bathhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a similar story of Spirited Away traumatizing me because I watched at a similar age, like 5 or 6. This is just the podcast of Sophie's traumas. This is just, we're branding this episode
Actually,
as Sophie's
the blue
therapist.
banana is just
It's the,
whoever holds the blue banana gets to share one trauma. It's the
Hi,
therapist
my name
banana.
is Liam, and here is how I was traumatized.
the scariest part for me was the parents, I think, that turned into pigs, if I remember it
Yes.
correctly. So it goes back to being a fresh migrant kid, not knowing much English when I was in kindergarten. And like literally when I moved to Australia, the only words I knew were yes, no, and maybe. And because of that, I didn't have a lot of friends in kindergarten.
It's because when people asked you, you kept saying no.
Exactly. I was like, just maybe.
were like,
you want to be
maybe.
friends? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, maybe no.
It's so Australian as well. Yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah.
Yeah, nah.
What you want to hear is nah, yeah.
Well, I was obviously giving them the wrong answers because I definitely did not have a lot of friends. To the point that the scariest nightmare for me, like a recurring nightmare when I was a child, was I'd be at school assembly and the bullies at my school would get up onto the stage, pass around some sort of special cream, and the whole school would turn into pigs and chase me.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at your trauma, but the imagery is great.
That does sound like a horror thing. That sounds a bit like a Jujutsu Kaisen episode or something.
It does,
It
doesn't
does.
it? Yeah.
It's a great idea, actually.
That also turned really dark. The mobbing arc, basically.
Jujutsu Kaisen, I feel like, was always pretty dark.
Yeah,
but
quite
it
dark.
did
Yeah.
amp things up. it continues to amp things up. Just
I'm
perpetually.
very surprised. Yeah, I feel like Shonen Jump as a magazine overall has like a real double standards in certain things, because they're like, oh, we can't do this because we're a magazine for young boys. But then they also air stuff where I'm like, well, this should probably be 18 plus, because like you have people slicing other people in half.
At times, Jujutsu Kaisen is arguably a seinen series, I think.
I think recently it definitely has been only seinen, I would argue.
Also, isn't Attack on Titan technically a shonen series? Or am I just making that up?
Yeah.
It is,
No,
I
I
think.
think
I'm pretty
technically
sure
it
it
is.
is.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so shonen. It's definitely for the 13-year-olds.
Yeah, Aaron's gonna be the Titan King.
I do think One Piece, I know that Oda wants to keep it as shonen-y as possible, but like, given all the like relatively dark themes in the story, if you wanted to go Jujutsu Kaisen, you could probably really easily do it.
Yeah, definitely.
sure.
Well, he purposely has dark histories that he doesn't put into the story, like the whole
Yeah.
Doflamingo Viola relationship, which is canon. He just doesn't like put it in there,
Elaborate.
but it's
on
there
it.
in his
Yeah.
mind. They have an intimate relationship, or they had an intimate relationship. It is implied.
Very consensual.
I think it was consensual, but then again, like, they fucked. That's what happened. For some reason, at some stage, after Doflamingo took over the country, they fucked.
In a way, I never want this to happen, but in another way, I also definitely want this to happen. Like, how funny would it be if Eiichiro Oda just pulled a complete J.K. Rowling, and after One Piece end, he's just like, oh yeah, Sanji and Zoro were totally gay. I just didn't want to mention it, but they were totally gay. And then she's like, oh yeah, and by the way, like, they were all pooping, like, on board the
They're
deck.
all
They were just
pirates
pooping in
shitting
the water.
quarters, yeah.
They're all pirates. And they just flush it out.
That's so
That'd be
funny
really
because one
funny.
of the most recent comments that I got on a Zoro and Sanji skit that I did was, it's not like who's better, Zoro or Sanji. It's a question of who's on top.
Zoro, obviously.
I feel like I'm gonna write that down, actually. I feel like that might be a fucking hilarious video. What if
Who's on
Eiichiro
top?
Oda was J.K. Rowling?
Right. I thought this was going to be an in-depth Zoro Sanji examination.
Oh,
Like
yes.
power scaling, but with dicks.
I mean, that is... I think we talked about this the other day. Like, I'm not sure about you, Sophie,
Zoro
but, like,
could jerk so much harder than Sanji. Just think of all the training he does. But Sanji has the dexterity because he's a chef and he knows how to handle tools.
Do you want the banana? Do you want to share? Do you want to share something with us?
It's thought about this.
Speaking of erect green things, on my way to film this podcast, I noticed something kind of embarrassing, which is that my Christmas tree is still up. We're recording this currently in late January, but honestly, it's still probably going to be up by the time this podcast goes out. And my question to the two of you is, how long is it acceptable to keep a Christmas tree up?
So I think people are going to think I'm a demon. Our family...
I hate Christmas.
Essentially, our family don't regularly put up Christmas trees.
You demon.
Sophie the Grinch.
Exactly. We don't like Christmas. We don't
No
like
Christmas
love. No
trees.
friends.
Is there anything the two of you like?
We're
Holy
just
crap.
piling up kimchi for Christmas.
That's what we
Then
do.
it's gone the next day.
That's what we do. It's
Kimchi tree.
Yeah. Why would you waste space? Precious space where we could be
Mary-
fermenting actual
kimchi.
useful. Well, this is actually a good question because I was going to ask you, what is Christmas like in Japan? Because I know that in Korea, Christmas is actually not really for family. It's usually for like people in relationships or friendship groups and maybe like couples as opposed to a big family celebration.
That's a fantastic question, and also seasonally, from a marketing perspective, way off topic. First of all, I do love Christmas, so there's one thing I like. I hate love and I hate Disney, but I do like Christmas.
Finally, something.
I think it's acceptable in my personal life. Completely okay to keep your Christmas tree up until you start working again or until school starts again. So like maybe the 10th of January. And then if it's like late January, it gets a bit unacceptable. And then if it's still up in February, you might as well just like leave it out there and pretend you're like preparing for next Christmas.
That's what we did. We said
Alright,
a
well-
Christmas in July because we had Christmas tree still up in July one year.
I'm going to out myself as well here. The Christmas tree usually doesn't come down until like late March, early April.
But at that point, why
'Cause I
bother?
we cannot be bothered. Because you've still got so much of the year to go through. You know, Christmas in July, that's a funny thing. But when you get to September and October, people just think that you're really keen for Christmas. Oh, it's September, time to put the tree up, time to start the carols.
And Liam is like, it's March and I'm fucking ready.
Christmas is already over?
Jingle my bells.
I also have a really nice Christmas tree, and I quite like it.
Okay, I'm gonna
at the
have
moment.
to poop on that a little bit with my.
There's no such thing as nice Christmas trees.
He wants to ruin
I'm
your
gonna-
Christmas tree by
Yeah,
defecating.
I'm gonna be a bit like Christmas. I'm gonna be Christmas
No,
elitist
go in the
about
corner
this.
like all of the other wizards.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to be elitist about that because, like, actually this year, because I had to stay in Japan due to COVID, so that was the first Christmas I didn't spend with my family at home. And in theory, for us, at least for most people in Germany, you couldn't even theoretically keep your tree up until March because you usually have a real tree, not a plastic tree. So this was actually my first time in my life this year that I had like a
gonna be,
plastic
is it?
tree.
Did you have a good plastic tree?
It was decent, but
So no.
culturally, no, I liked it. It was good, but it's not the same thing.
Decent and good are not the same thing.
Yeah, I think like the fact that it is plastic, minus 50 points.
Sophie, tell him how good my tree is.
Which one? Because you have two.
That's
And
true.
I'm inclined to say the
I
one that
have-
I helped you put up.
He's still decorated, by the way. I have a life-size Zorro statue
Oh, that one.
that is a Christmas tree.
I thought your
currently at the
tree
moment.
is a he. It's like we're starting
My
to
tree doesn't
gender.
have a name yet.
It's like gendering out Christmas
Like-
trees.
Don't you assume my tree's
Don't-
gender, man.
exactly. That's what I was. That is my line here.
No, it's my tree. I know their pronouns.
Well, I think
But
for everyone.
I have a real Christmas tree. Let's stay on topic. Sophie, describe my Christmas tree.
It's a life-size figure
Don't
of
say it
Zorro.
like that. Describe how my tree looks.
It's green. It's erect.
Describe how erect it is.
It's a weird round thing on top.
Describe the girth.
It's spiky.
That's concerning. I need like colors.
It's green. It's
Paint me an image.
It's bright. It emanates heat at the top. Actually, no, when I came over, I think you didn't have a star up yet. You didn't have the star ready for me.
Are you talking about Zorro or the actual tree?
I can't even remember it. I don't even know at this point. Are we still talking about trees?
Yeah, you're
I
describing
thought we
my
were talking
Christmas
about
tree.
penises. It's like, oh yeah.
Okay, Sophie, describe my penis. Fuck, let's get onto this topic.
If we have to.
In conclusion, my tree is amazing, and I'll send you a picture.
But you have to send the photo of the Zorro tree.
I'll send you both trees.
I know your Zorro. I know the Zorro tree. I've seen a photo of the Zorro tree. I want your. Send it to me now.
Have you seen the little Zorro friend dangling where his little Zorro is? His little buddy?
I have seen that.
The story for everyone else is that Dawn and I helped Liam put up the Zorro tree and helped decorate it with little straw hat figurines and placed them sort of very logically. So for example, we have Sanji on his chest, so Sanji's quite close to Zoro's heart. We have a mini Zoro near his crotch, because that's a mini Zoro, his little buddy. I think we have Luffy in his head, because, you know, Luffy's obviously the brains of the group. I can't remember where we put Chopper, but I think Chopper must have been his shoulder, based on sort of that cover page, sorry.
Well, while Liam is sending the photo, or like, I guess taking a picture of the tree right now probably, and figuring out the lighting, let me answer your other question about Christmas in Japan. Because I was actually kind of sad that I couldn't go home, especially because I was really planning to. And then with everything that's happening right now, it was difficult. So I was really surprised because yes, in Japan, kind of like I guess in Korea, it's like a big date thing. It's kind of like Valentine's Day here. So it's usually a couple's day where you like go on a date and there's strawberry cake for some reason. Don't ask me where that came from. But that being
Where
said,
did it come from?
good thing that you ask. It started in 1978. It was a cold June night. That's as far as my story goes. Anyways, no, but what is genuinely nice here in Japan is that even though Christmas is not really like a family thing as it is like in the West, they put so much effort into decoration here. In my hometown, like in Germany, they do put up stuff, but and we have like Christmas markets usually, but it's like nothing compared to what they do here. They have like illuminations throughout the city. Like every shop has like Christmas decoration up and like generally nice stuff. So they put it up like I think already in September here as well, I guess for marketing reasons, same as in Europe or something, basically, or after Halloween. But I generally did get in the Christmas spirit way earlier than usual just because there was a lot of really nice illumination and Christmas decoration around here. So that was genuinely a nice surprise.
Yeah.
Did you just go to take a picture of your tree?
Yep, I sent it to both of you.
Let me check, and it's
Let's
gonna be
check.
up on screen here, so you can admire it as well. Aww,
Didn't send the Zorro tree.
You said you'd already seen it.
it's a nice tree.
He does have a very nice tree.
It's on my
He does have a very
Instagram.
nice tree. He
Yeah,
does
it's
have
not
a very
like your
nice
typical
tree.
plastic What a wink.
I think for a plastic tree, it does look really, really nice. But I think one day I'm gonna have invite you for European Christmas, and then you're gonna have a real tree that smells like tree. But it's easier to take care of the plastic one, admittedly.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to get rid of the real one.
You can just burn it.
Or you could just put the plastic one in a box and then get it out again the next year. It sounds like so much fuss. And for me, as a person who doesn't really like doing anything, just the logistics
Chop
of like
down the tree.
ordering or retrieving a real tree, putting it in your house, keeping care of it, taking care of it like some kind of plant, and then disposing of it.
So do you guys all keep an axe in your backyard
as
to
you
like
know,
chop out the
I
tree?
can't even be bothered to take down the plastic
No,
one
there's
yet, let
Christmas-
alone dispose of a real
There's
one.
Christmas tree markets where you can go and buy a nice one, or you can go into the wood and get your own
Yeah,
one.
the problem is, you just said the word go. I'm not doing that.
You're not supposed to automate Christmas.
I've done it.
It's not how it works.
It's done. This tree was delivered to me.
By Amazon.
And
by an underpaid
Not by
Amazon
Amazon.
worker who peed in a bottle to get this tree to me in time.
it did not come from Amazon. It came from a Christmas tree specialist.
Well, I have no say on the matter. We didn't even have This was probably the least Christmassy Christmas for me last year because of COVID. I wasn't going out of the house much, so I wasn't around to see the decorations go up. We didn't have decorations at home because we don't put Christmas trees up anymore after we left it until July one year. And then my sister, who I saw on Christmas, probably I think that's the day that I got COVID.
Merry Christmas.
Was the least Christmassy of Christmases, which is why I'm now a Grinch.
To be fair, Sydney doesn't do a very good job with Christmas decorations. Like, you really do need to head to London or Japan or somewhere that takes its Christmas seriously. You can't avoid being just flooded with spirit.
And I do imagine, but that's probably just because I am kind of from the more northern hemisphere, so I do fit into that more traditional, like, white, cold Christmas image. But for as someone as uncultured as me, imagining to celebrate Christmas in the middle of summer seems very interesting. Though, to be fair, that being said, I have a lot of friends who
great.
love going somewhere where it's warm over the Christmas break.
Yeah, you go to the beach. You have lunch with your family and then you go to the beach.
Or, yeah, a family member with a pool. You have a barbecue. It's just solid summer, like, holiday stuff. None of this cowering in the cold and the fires and stuff.
It does actually make me wonder. So do you guys all own an axe to just chop down your tree after Christmas is over to use it as fire logs?
Oh, no. So you don't get like it's not like you grow the tree in your house, right?
No, but what do you do when Christmas is over?
No, but, like, to break it down, because you said burn it.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so what you do is like if you live in the city, you're probably gonna like have like different like stores or like what is it, like a fair kind of thing or like a market where you can get like Christmas trees and you have like a stand where you put it in. And then or like if you live out in the countryside, you can just chop down your own one. And then once Christmas is over, well, at that point usually it's already pretty dried out. So what you can do, and like either you have an axe and you just like, for example, we have like a fireplace. So what we just do is like we like roughly chop it up and just chuck it in there. But then there's a lot of people in the city who just like, for example, we have a park around the corner. So some people just drag it there and just like chuck it. And like someone from the city comes and picks it up and they burn it.
Irresponsible.
I
Christmas
was
tree
imagining
disposal.
like a giant fire, like a bonfire going on at the park. A Christmas bonfire.
Yes. On the 24th, we celebrate the birth of Christ. And then on the 7th of January, we hail Satan for the rest of the year. Do you know that meme? I love that. The mascot of Kumamoto, where also Oda is from. It's like Kumamon, that black bear.
the bear.
And there's this one meme where it's like for the why? I think that shows that we're old. That's like the memes that I'm still familiar. For the glory of Satan, of course. And I love that one.
There we go. That's another thing you love. O'Hara hates Disney, hates love, loves Christmas, loves Satan.
That's
The contradiction.
two things I love already.
The very the contradiction of loving Christmas.
Like, we're balancing here.
Looking for my inner middle.
That's the title of the clip right there. O'Hara loves Satan.
O'Hara loves. I think
Manu
O'Hara.
loves Satan.
Manu loves Satan, and Christmas is a pretty good. One thing that I really was food for thought last time was your story, Liam. I was feeling really bad, and I was very jealous, and I was punching my wall late at night that I could not match your great table tennis story. So I was like looking through my recent stories, and none of them was as good. But I remembered a really funny story because recently I think I had like a caffeine overdose because I was still drinking coffee at like 6
Oh, caffeine?
as a caffeine.
I just point that out because at first I heard cocaine. So I just wanted to clarify.
So the other day, I had a cocaine overdose.
That's the new title.
Yeah.
Manu had cocaine overdose
Manu ODs on cocaine and hails Satan.
on Christmas Day.
And then 5 months later, it's like another clip. Manu ODs on cocaine. In brackets again. I really love coffee in general, and I recently have dialed down my coffee consumption. So I have like a rule that I try to not drink coffee after 2 p.m. because I think at some point it had like a really bad impact on my sleep. But then the other day I was really tired because I had slept really badly and I still needed to work. And so I was like, you know that feeling when you're like, I get that sometimes from sport as well, but when you like lie in bed and you're kind of like tired, but your body's like still really energetic because of whatever.
Every night.
Oh shit, that's not good.
It's terrible.
Do you want the
You need to get yourself checked out, Liam.
I have a lot of trouble sleeping, but this is your traumatic,
you.
potentially jerk-off story. I don't know where this is going, but you're trying to top me, so let's see where it goes.
Anyways, okay, this is also a story from my childhood. It's not as funny, but I thought I remembered it. We were basically going to a vacation house with my parents, and I was allowed to bring a friend that was like in Austria. In that period of my life, I was really into iced tea. We bought like these big 2-liter boxes, like packs of iced tea. I love everything cold, so I put like a chunk of ice cubes in there. And I think for 6 or 7, like we bought 4 or 5 of these 2-liter packs. I think it was supposed to last for like 10 days. The 10 days we went there. I think me alone on that, like, because I was hanging out with my friend and I was like, fuck, so much iced tea. So I chucked down, I think, at least 2 of these cans, 4 liters of iced tea. And from the morning we arrived, basically till like 10 in the evening. And my friend didn't like iced tea so much. They had like 1 glass and he was like, that's enough. I'll be a reasonable human person. I think I was like 12 or something, or 13 or 14. No, I think I was actually more like 14, 15. And so at some point, it was like 12 or something. My friend was like, I'm so tired. Let's just sleep. And I was like, yeah, it was a long day traveling here. Let's sleep. I lay down in my bed and I was like, what the hell's happening? So I was just lying like on cocaine, like probably in my bed, eyes wide. I was like, what's happening to my body? So what nobody had told me was that iced tea has actually a shit ton of caffeine in it, because it's tea.
So much.
Yeah,
so
tea is,
much,
I think, not quite as bad as coffee, but still consider it. And so what I did, like, after like an hour of like my heart racing, pumping out of my chest and my throat, I was like, I think I'm dying. I think I'm overdosing on iced tea right now. So I ran to my parents' bedroom. Both of them are doctors. And I was like, yo, what's happening? Like, I'm as awake as I've ever been in my life, and my heart's just pounding. And they were like, well, that was probably all the iced tea you drank today, because there's a shit ton of caffeine in it. And I was like, oh, is that what it was? And they were like, yeah, no kidding, fuckface. Of course that's what it was. And I'm like, why didn't you
Just stop me.
So my parents were like, I don't know, you're like an adult now, you have to learn to deal with stuff by yourself. I think the line they said was, some experience you just have to make. So they were like, well, we're gonna keep sleeping now, you just make sure not to wake anyone up. So what I ended up doing was, at 2 a.m, I started like hiking around the mountains for 7 hours straight. I did not sleep like a single hour that entire night. And it was, I think I've never had iced tea ever since, at least in larger quantities.
The craziest part is that you went out hiking. That would never occur to me, to go hiking at 2 a.m.
Well, it was summer, so it was warm.
But I guess it's the cocaine.
Must be the
Cocaine makes you do crazy things.
When you're that buzzed, I feel like it's the only solution. What I would probably do is something similar. I would go for a run, just like around
get it
the
out of your
house
system.
until my body was just so physically tired that the caffeine didn't matter so much.
I'm not sure if that's a thing actually, like physiologically, but I think, like, for example, I love saunas, and like sometimes, like after a night of heavy drinking or something, I like to tell myself that you can sweat it out a little bit.
I'm no scientist, but that doesn't sound particularly accurate.
That must be nice in Japan, though. Do you
Oh,
have
yeah.
that in Germany as well, back home?
Oh, it's in Europe, it's a really, at least Northern Europe, it's a really big thing. Like, actually, my parents had one in their house, which was fantastic as a kid. Obviously, all of Scandinavia, it's a big thing. So I did live in Norway for half a year, for a semester abroad. And they had like, the university had like these small cabins, like scattered throughout the country, where you would have to hike to like for hours through the snow and through the woods. And And some of them had like little saunas where you would actually have to chuck down a tree, chop that down, chop it into pieces, and then make a fire for the sauna. Then you go into the sauna and then you jump into the snow or into like a lake.
You have to earn your sauna time.
You do. But I do love saunas, yeah. And I do think in Australia it's maybe not as popular because you can just
You
go.
just walk outside.
Yeah, stand on the street for like 10 minutes.
Just go into your backyard.
You really do need to go to like a gym or an aquatic center to find a sauna. They're not particularly common.
It's a nice combination though, especially like right now, like in winter. I love the cold and the heat, and like combining those two is really cool. I do ice baths, for example.
Is that for sports reasons?
It's sports and health, also like a mental thing. Like I do it like in the morning.
Oh, so this is daily.
Every day.
I have like a morning routine Monday to Friday, and then on the weekends I kind of do whatever. And by whatever, I think we established that last time it's work.
Still 5 ice
Yes.
baths a week.
That's really good. And my roommates
fuck.
think I'm crazy because I live with other people and like in our yard. At some point last year, I just put up, I think I bought it on Amazon as like an outdoor jacuzzi. So you're supposed to put warm water in.
But instead it's just
But
ice.
but like me every morning, like after I wake up, I chuck like a bunch of ice cubes in there. The first time I did that, I think my roommates thought I was like very concerned. Is like, are you gonna go into that? But yeah, and I enjoy doing it a lot. At the beginning, it's really hard, but it's also it like not only is it allegedly at least good for your body and it burns a lot of fat and gets your body going, but like also like just the mental thing of going into an ice bath every morning, like that's automatically the hardest thing you have to do the entire day.
It would make me not want to get up at all. Just the thought that first thing I need to do is the hardest. I'd be like, I'm staying here. I like to ease into my mornings.
I mean, I know that it's supposedly really good for like when you have injuries and stuff as well, because I've done that when I've had like basketball injuries. I've done it maybe once or twice, and now I'm just like, I'll just stick with the pain. I'll deal with the long rehab.
I mean, it's like with any habit, like the body gets really accustomed to it. So at the beginning, like when you do it the first 1 or 2 times, it really, like your entire body screams, what the hell are you doing? But at this point, like I just sit in there and it's like cold for like half a minute. And then it just like, you switch off and like just relax into it in a really weird way. But
How long do you do it for?
It's like physiological Stockholm syndrome is what I'm hearing.
Maybe that's it. It depends. Like right now in the winter, because basically like right now the ice cubes I chuck in, they don't melt. So it's really cold. I do go in for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, and then in the summer longer, because then like it gets in Japan, it gets ridiculously hot here. So basically it's just a nice refresher in the summer here.
I have no comment other than you're insane.
I take that as a compliment.
Good transition, as that's for seeing as there are health benefits related to that. I realized after last week that I was the only one who shared my fitness goals for the year, and I felt quite embarrassed that I didn't get to hear your fitness goals and whether you had any. And part of the reason why I was doing this is going to date the video quite a bit. But Manu, I know you like watching wrestling.
I think mostly I do watch UFC.
Oh, it is a UFC. So
Yes,
this was
I did
the
not
UFC.
watch this weekend. Yes, sadly not.
Describing the UFC over the weekend, and the fight that I was going to ask you about was between Francis Ngannou and Cyril Gane. Now, do you follow?
More or less. So, as a bit of background, I did used to do MMA myself for 2.5 years. MMA, Thai boxing, and then at some point I figured I like my nose a lot, and I kind of want to keep it. It's not perfectly straight, but like I don't want to make it worse than it already is. So I switched to doing mostly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu at the moment, which I've been doing for like over 5 or 6 years now. So yeah, so that's my thing right now. But I'm still really into UFC and like martial arts in general, but I do not like follow everyone all the time on Twitter and anything. I watch the fights and keep out of the drama most of the time.
I would be the same. I know I have a couple of friends who are really into it, really follow like all the press conferences and knows like the beef that's going down between the fighters. I'm not quite that invested into it. The reason why I got into it is actually because my friends like it, and I just go there to have free food and just, spend the day to hang out. And then I sort of got into it.
Be careful. If you're Sophie's friend, she's just there for the food.
She's just using you for your food, yeah.
All I want you for is free food.
I noticed that. Every time you come over to my place, my cupboards are empty by the time you leave.
But you guys have gluten-free bread.
We do.
I know we also share an affinity to peanut butter. So Francis and Cyril are heavyweight, just for context. And my understanding is that Cyril Gane is a lot more of a technical fighter. You could correct me if you know better than this, Manu.
No, I think that's fair to say, yeah.
I agree.
Shut up, Liam.
Francis is the current heavyweight champion, and he's known for his knockouts. I think he usually wins by his knockouts. 5 rounds, 5 minutes. I don't know how much context to give to Liam.
It's like 25 minutes. It's a long time to be like throwing fists at other people's faces.
The thing is, like, in a competition, like martial art competition, you're basically tense and like under physical stress every single maximum physical stress every single second. In martial art, like in MMA in general, if you get like punched in the face, it doesn't help you being under full pressure for 25 minutes. So fight every single round is really excruciating because it's hard to breathe.
I feel like 5 minutes is a shockingly long amount of time to be in that kind of state.
If it really ends up being 5 rounds without a submission or a KO, that is a really excruciatingly long fight.
And what happened this fight? I can't remember who was the underdog, but I think people were expecting if Francis doesn't win by a knockout, then Cyril's gonna win. And the first 2 rounds, Cyril really looked like he had it. Any sort of strikes that Francis was throwing at him, it just wasn't connecting, wasn't hitting him. Cyril was just so agile. He was so fast. And then in the 3rd round, Francis takes Cyril to the floor. And the big deal is that Francis...
Sounds hot.
Very hot. Francis was on top. We're going to go back down that discussion. But Francis isn't known for his BJJ skills.
I'm sorry? His BJ skills?
Yeah, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
BJJ.
Blowjob job.
Francis isn't known for his blowjob job skills.
Well, he must have been training hard if he pulled that off. Literally.
He did really well. I was also surprised because like he pinned him down. Something I enjoy, like what he did in that fight, if I remember correctly from seeing the highlights. One thing I admire a lot about Khabib is like what he does really well is like wrap up people's legs. Without your legs and your hips, it's basically impossible to escape and like defend and like shift away from the ground if someone's on top of you. And he did kind of the same thing. He like clamped the legs together, I think, if I remember that correctly. So I was surprised by that as well because, as you say, he's not known for like his ground fights.
They went the distance. And he won by a decision because of his groundwork. And I just thought that was, spectacular. I love watching. I think it's so much fun watching MMA and watching like UFC, but I'd never understand it because win or lose, that's guaranteed brain damage. You know, if you get hit, that's guaranteed brain damage. You could win, but you've definitely lost some brain cells there.
At the very top level, I suppose if you're making millions, tens of $1 million a fight, you'll tank a bit of brain damage.
I think that's a strategy for many of them, or for at least some of them, where they're like, okay, well, I'm going to be successful for as long as I can for a really short period of time. Like play at the top level for like 2, 3, 4 years and then like end my career basically. Hope that I don't get Parkinson's all too early. It's really sad because like martial arts in general is something I enjoy a lot, and I think there's a lot of honesty in that sport that maybe doesn't exist in other types of sports. But at the same time, it is considerate the amount of damage you take. But then again, the same could be said for American football, for example, as well, or even soccer, like a sport I love. I was about to say above all else, I really love Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu as well. But I love soccer really, really a lot, and even there, like the headers all the time, if you do that for like 20 30 years of your life, hit a really hard ball, I think it's been shown that that's really does nothing good for your brain, sadly.
You really just shouldn't let things hit your head, whether it's fists or balls. IMO.
Good thing you're safe in your room.
I am also not, a world-class athlete getting paid insane amounts of money to hit things with my head. If someone offered me a lot of money, I would let something hit my head, though. Let's just put that out there.
Video idea. I paid YouTubers $10,000 to let me punch them in the face.
You can punch me for 10 grand. We're talking US, yeah?
Oh, not Australian dollars.
Pounds? Pounds, maybe?
Euros?
US dollars sounds fair. I'll write it down. I'll take you by it. In 2 years, I'll come back and be like, I punched
don't know. Manu said that he did Thai
5
boxing.
million subscriber.
5 million. Jeez, that's wishful thinking.
Was that your question, Sophie?
It was just, I thought that was an interesting development from Francis. I just wondered, seeing as we were talking about fitness goals last week and I didn't get to hear yours, whereas I shared mine, whether you have any fitness goals, whether you plan on, diversifying.
I'd also just like to add to this, we'll do the fitness goals first, but we also didn't hear your dildo color last week, whereas you heard both of ours, so I'm just going to put that out there. But first, fitness.
God. I can tell that must have been on your mind. Liam went home. Liam slept that night.
Idea. Do you have any idea how hard it's been to imagine anything without the color?
We assumed Sophie's favorite dildo color.
I didn't even assume it. It's just right now you're color is a question mark.
That's racist.
I'll have to make an apology video immediately.
I did not mean to ask Sophie what
No,
color
wait.
she was.
It starts with one of these. Guys, I'm sorry.
I made a mistake.
I
But you
made
have
a
to,
mistake.
you need to like have tears in your eyes already, like you've been crying for like.
I need to like think of a dog dying or something right before the camera starts so that it looks like I'm sorry.
Like the asthma spray, even though you don't have asthma. This has been really hard on me as well. And all I want to say is, I didn't mean it that way. But I can see now how it could be taken as an insensitive thing to say.
I like the testy pop voice as well as if you can't control it. Yeah, this is good. This is good advice for my future apology video
Thank
that
you,
I'll
thank you.
inevitably need
I'll
to
coach
make
you. I'll do media
afterward.
training.
Oh, excellent, excellent.
This is one of your marketing courses.
As for a fitness goal, though, I don't have any goals that involve getting hit in the head, unless it's for 10 grand. But I would like to get back to being able to run about 10 kilometers, which is what I used to be able to do back in the day, before I started being a professional sit-down guy.
I think that's a pretty good goal to have.
It's very achievable as well, and I would love to do it in an actual like race setting as well. Have one of those goals to build towards.
I do like that a lot. And I think 10 kilometers is a really, it's like in the Goldilocks zone of running.
Just right. Not a
It's just
marathon,
right.
not a half marathon.
Yeah.
But also not nothing.
As for me, I do like running as well. I do it like once or twice a week. But the problem is if you do over 10 kilometers, it turns into really hardcore cardio. You lose a lot of fat, but you get a very lean body and it's hard to like retain any muscle mass, which I personally am not the biggest fan of, because especially if you want to, for other sports or for visual purposes, want to keep up muscle growth, I think 10 is like a good point to do it. Better than like 3 or 4, where it's more like, that's more like a like intensive.
Which is what I do currently. It's about like 4 to 5 at the moment.
I do run 5 at the moment as well.
And that would be my goal for this year, to be able to run around 3 kilometers.
Sophie, we can make this happen so easily. You can run 5k in a month with like interval training. Anyone can.
Well, I guess that's an invitation to go train with Liam a little bit more.
Absolutely. I'll invoice you weekly. It'll be great.
No, I think that was more an invitation to train on your own. It wasn't. And come back once you finish your training arc.
I said you, not we. So,
You said we can make that very achievable.
what have I gotten myself into?
I think that's a really cool goal, though. I think like running 10 kilometers is really good. As for me, I don't think I really have any fitness goals.
I'm perfect already.
I'm a very fit.
That's not what I meant.
As for me, I am the height of human fitness.
I have something I want to achieve, but I'm not sure if it's goal necessarily. So as a student, I was able to go to my martial arts classes 6 times a week. Like every day I was just like, yeah, it was like kind of like getting like my excess energy out. Now with YouTube, which is, by the way, way more stressful a job than I think some people think, because you're basically working 24/7 in a way. I really have issues recently going more than twice a week. Or even twice a week sometimes. So I do have like my morning routine where I do like weights and everything, and I go running. But just I want to do more martial arts, and that's really difficult at the moment. But I hope that I find this year a sort of balance where I can do that a little bit more.
When you say balance, 6 times a week sounds very unbalanced.
That's not about. I think like three or maybe even 4 times a week would be great. But it is really difficult because it takes a lot of energy out of you, like sparring and everything. And after a day of like writing scripts and using your brain a lot, surprisingly, your entire body is kind of like, we already kind of did a workout today.
And then comes the realization that if you do that workout, you'll be pretty useless for the rest of the evening or the rest of the day, depending on when you do it.
Even sometimes the next morning.
Which is why I've got to be like really strategic when I run. I need to make sure that my brain work is just done and that everything that comes after that, because there's always something that comes after that. I don't finish work till like 10 p.m. Everything that comes after that is more like muscle memory stuff, like chopping video or replying to emails or just general crap.
I think
Nothing
that's
creative.
smart, because like I think I do the mistake sometimes, or I think that's also based to like when classes are. But often like classes are in the evening when yes, work is already done, but then like if it's too close to your bedtime and you do like vigorous exercise, like that sometimes also has like a bad effect on sleeping. Like sometimes when you do like sparring sessions, for example, sometimes you just lie in bed and your body is like on full adrenaline still for the next 2 hours. So that's something that's also a bit difficult to manage at some points.
Suppose it becomes a thing where you've got finite energy, so you've got to just choose where to dedicate it.
I like to go swimming in the morning because I actually feel like it gives me a lot of energy to pump me up for the rest of the day.
I just want to point
We
out
shall
that your
see.
glass is larger than your face. Oh,
And I
I
drink-
take that back then.
Oh, it's very close though.
Now it is.
I drink many glasses as well.
How often do you need to pee?
Well, I mean,
Personal
you guys have
question,
seen
but-
that I've gone every break, and I don't think you guys have gone at all.
It's crazy. You go more often than I do, and I have a nanobladder. I need to go a lot.
I need to go very often.
I think it's healthy though.
It is. It's supposedly good for you. I used to have a really bad habit when I used to work in the office, is that I'd be too lazy to get up to go to the bathroom if I'm working, and I would really
So you'd
like wait.
piss yourself?
Yeah, that's what I would do. I'd just go all over the company floor.
Like, appreciate my dedication.
This is my hard work all over the floor. This urine is the physical manifestation of my company spirit.
It's urine and sweat and blood, but mostly urine.
I actually have a funny story about peeing at work.
About urine.
Oh yeah?
About urine, actually. Well, not quite. It was sort of the moment after urinating. I went to the bathroom at work and I was pulling my skirt back up after having done my business. And I had my backside facing towards the door. And I heard footsteps coming towards the bathroom. And I thought to myself, wouldn't it be funny if I forgotten to lock the door? It'd be pretty funny if someone just walked in at this moment. And just as I had finished thinking that thought, the head of legal walked in and I essentially mooned my head of legal, who maybe at some point I had some wishes of maybe I could go into the legal team once I had finished my degree and I could work my way into the legal team for this company. And I remember she screamed, "You didn't lock the door!"
Oh,
As
it's
if I
okay. I was
hadn't.
like-
You know, it was-
If it had been a dude, your chances of getting into the legal team would have like tripled
Maybe.
immediately.
Question though, when this happens, what was your response? Because most people have like a fight, a flight, or a freeze. Did you have like the flight where it was like pull things up, get things in order as quickly as possible? Or were you just like a deer in the headlights, mooning away? Like,
No, I'm a fight. I pulled things up. I pulled things up. It was just a response of her just saying, "You didn't lock the door," as if I hadn't realized. Like, no, I just
Thanks for
thought you might
pointing
have
it out.
picked the lock to go in.
I think that's the very quick like washing your hands of this is not my fault, this is your doing.
I want to get back to the point where you were thinking, wouldn't it be funny if someone walked in? Was that you being afraid someone walked in, or were you like, you know what would be funny? If I left the door open. Kind of like,
Yeah, did you will this scenario into existence?
Maybe I manifested it. As I thought it, the door unlocked.
This is a self-fulfilling prophecy that you've got going, yeah.
Maybe.
God.
Maybe.
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 Liam,
Manu.
good transition. What other topics do you have for us today?
I was reminded of an incident today by my wife, and my question to you, first of all, is have either of you ever dated someone who owns a dog?
I am the person who has the dog who is being dated.
Okay, understandable. So you'll get this from the other side then, because here's the thing. Dating someone with a dog is quite a terrifying proposition, because in many ways, meeting your date's dog is the make or break.
just
of
as
That
She
was
said that we
such
hear-
fantastic timing.
I hope
Wow.
the audio
Thank
gets
you,
that.
Puck.
Wow. I hope that's in the recording.
Oh, he's continuing to bark now.
Nice. It's good. It sets the
it's-
mood.
Yeah.
It's the make or break moment more so than even meeting their parents. Because if their parents don't like you, that's one thing. You don't have to talk to their parents or even see them all that often. But if their dog doesn't like you, it's done. The relationship is over.
Clearly, your dog is not
so-
happy with you gossiping about him. Behind
Who
his
said
back.
I'm a difficult dog to get along with? We have a doggy scenario at the moment.
Maybe Liam is actually dating the dog, and the dog has a girl who comes with the package. That is hilarious. That is such good timing.
Yeah.
Terrible timing.
Perfect timing.
We were just speculating if you were actually dating the dog, and the dog just happened to come with a girl.
Let me continue, and all shall be answered. So when I met my now wife's dog for the first time, we used to have a golden retriever. The pressure was really on to make a good impression with that dog, as my wife loved that dog. And luckily, I seem to have passed. I think it helped that the dog was a golden retriever, so basically you just need to bribe them with food and they'll allow you into the inner sanctum. But about a month after we moved in together, Jody is the dog's name, she and I were left alone because my wife went on tour with a show very briefly because we both used to work in theater. And this was the first time that it had just been me and Jody for a long stretch of time, and Jody took full advantage of that, pushing her luck a lot more than I would say one would if my wife had been around. And on one occasion, and Sophie, you'll get invested into this immediately, I was making a peanut butter sandwich in the
ultimate
kitchen.
sandwich.
I got distracted by something while I was doing this. I forget what that was, but I had to leave the kitchen. Within what felt like a millisecond, this golden retriever swooped in like some Naruto Hokage level ninja shit and absconded with my peanut butter sandwich. To which I noticed and then chased her out to the backyard, but by the time I reached her, that sandwich was well and truly gone. So from that day on, I kind of accepted my fate with my relationship with this dog. So every time I made a sandwich, what I had to do was make her a smaller decoy sandwich to ensure that I actually got the thing that I was making. Thus ends my dog story.
That is such a cute story.
I was gonna say Liam became the dog's bitch.
Kind of, yeah. My wife retweeted that story today and said that, that was the reason why I married him.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Because you made little sandwiches for her dog. I can
That's
see that.
very
As a dog
sweet.
owner, I can see that.
Because I got the dog to give approval.
That is important. To be fair, my dog is more like, I think you have to go really out of your way to not get her approval. She like gives you approval ahead of time. She gives you the benefit of the doubt. Like you could be the worst person. She's like, ooh, you wanna cuddle with me? She's a bit of a bitch, you could say.
Thank you everyone for watching the Blue Banana podcast.
Or listening
I've
to
been
it.
Liam.
No.
Listening. If you like listening,
Smelling
I'm not
it.
going to judge you. Sophie might. She does that.
She does that a lot.
I'm the bitch.
Very judgmental. Oh my god. But I've been Liam. Manu has been Manu. Sophie has been Sophie. And
We might
bye.
switch it up next time, I think.
Oh yeah, fair enough. I'll be Manu.
I was
Manu,
gonna
you can be
say.
Sophie. Sophie, you can be me.
I'll be-
That's how we'll switch it up.
Yes.
Can I be Liam's dog?
And
You can be my
Liam's
bitch,
dog
yes.
is me. Or is that you?
We'll figure it
I'll
out.
treat
We'll
both
figure
of
it
you
out.
fine. But it's a peanut butter sandwich diet.
I have no complaints about that. Just make it crunchy.